YouTube, this is Robin That's One here, and I'm here to review Arrow, Season 3, Canaries. This episode wasn't as strong as it could have been. It was still an enjoyable episode. I just didn't really find it all that interesting. So, here's the plot summary of what happened in this episode. We have, the return of Vertigo, and Vertigo, and the leader of Vertigo, is basically released back into the general public. And Team Arrow go after him, and the result is Black Canary, aka Laurel, is injected with a lethal dose of Vertigo, and she begins to hallucinate about her sister. We also have Thea Queen brought into the fold and learns that she is and learns Oliver's secret. And we also have the end of the subplot between her boyfriend being part of Ghul and all that. As I said in the beginning of this episode, the episode wasn't really particularly wow. It didn't really excite me, but there were elements that I enjoyed. It was a weird episode. Throughout the episode, I kept thinking something was just off. Like, the action sequences weren't amazing. It kind of felt like just a run-of-the-mill episode. And it didn't really have a spark. Which is a shame, because I didn't like the last episode, Uprising. And I wasn't really too impressed with this one either. So, sorry. It was a weird one for me. The stuff going on with Laurel. I like the fact that in this episode, Felicity brought back the idea of Felicity having this inner light. Because that's been surprisingly absent from the character since season 1. And I'm really glad they brought back that element that made Laurel a likeable character. If you have watched my season 1 reviews, I mentioned a lot about this, and I'm really glad that they reincorporated that into the character. Because a character that Arrow is a very, very dark universe, and I think you need characters that have a lighter personality to sometimes overshadow that dark persona of Oliver, Arsenal, Malcolm Merlyn, etc. Sometimes I think you just need someone who is a bit more positive. Because positivity affects us. And the show has been quite negative this season. And I was just sort of glad that they brought back that element. Because what we're finding with Laurel is, as Felicity pointed out, Laurel has this light and is not her sister. She's not covering anything up. Laurel is the Black Canary. In the sense that she is very different. I think she embodies what Sara always wanted to be. And that is a vigilante who could be like Oliver, but still be more heroic. And that's not to say that Oliver isn't a heroic character. He is. But Laurel has that ability. I think with Laurel's character, what we're going to see eventually is Laurel stepping more closer towards the fun-loving kind of character. A character who isn't dark and brooding, but actually enjoys being the Black Canary. And like sort of similar to the Black Canary that we see in the comics. And if you've read Injustice, Gods Among Us, sort of that Laurel, that Black Canary but just in year one, before the tragedy started. We also have Laurel finally telling her father about Sara, and this was needed, because Detective Lance had been going through life not knowing, and I think it was good that he was finally brought into what's going on. Thea knowing who Oliver is, a lot of it felt like forced. Like it kind of felt like Thea is the only character on the show who does not know that Oliver isn't the Arrow, and for the sake of it, we're going to reveal that. But rather than reveal that in an interesting way, Thea just is introduced to it. Through Oliver. I wanted Thea to discover it on her own, and I think a lot of us, or some of us, were thinking that she was going to become a Speedy-esque character, or a Cheshire type character, and actually fight Oliver and actually discover the secret. And I just kind of felt like they didn't do it, like they did it in the most blandest way possible. And also, at the end of the episode, we have Thea and Oliver go back to the island. This seemed really, really, it just seemed odd. I realised that next episode we're going to see Slade Wilson, but it was weird to me. I don't know why. Yeah. So this episode was an interesting one. Because it was an enjoyable episode, I just think they cut too many corners to get us to this point. Yeah. So I'm gonna leave it off there. I'm Robinats1 here, and I shall see you guys all later for another Arrow review. Do stay tuned for this weekend, because I am going to be doing a review for I'm going to be talking about the Spider-Man, the Spider-Man Marvel partnership, because it's something that I really want to talk about. So do stay tuned for that. Anyway, I'm gonna go and see you later. Bye.